Alright, yes, so mate, to install a listen bar on your transparent corset, you actually need your interfaced fabric. So the fabric can be any fabric of choice. For this now, I'm actually using the doll face. The doll face, you can use Ankara or any other fabric have you. Now the width I'm working with is 4 inches. So I actually went ahead to cut out the width is 4 inches. I need to cut out two pieces. Now note that I can actually make this a single piece. That means you cut out 8 inches. But there's this kind of illusion I actually want to give, which I actually went ahead to cut it into two. So the width I'm working with is 4 inches, and the length I'm working with is the length of my corset. That's the back, is the length of the center back of my corset. So all you just have to do is to go ahead and measure what you have here. Here now I have 14 inches. So I actually went ahead to, just cut out my 14 inches and added some allowances at the upper part and at the lower part. Also, you'll be needing your Regiline Boning. That's the sewable one. Now, the width of the boning I'm working with in this case is about half inch. I think this is the 12 mm. So you want to just, this is half, in inches it is half, but I think in is actually 12 mm. So now let's just do this. So what you want to do is to bring in your corset, that's the back, and then you bring in one piece of this lacing bar, and then you place it the right side facing the wrong side of your corset, because I'm going to be flipping this to the right side. So the right side, this is my right side now. I'm just going to go ahead and place, I'm leaving about half inch at this upper part, which I will just trim off later on. And then I'm just going to match it up. I will be pinning this down. I'll just go ahead and secure it down like so. So this is half inch here. Just going ahead securing this with my pins like so. So I have some excess which I'm still going to trim off later on, but you want to actually work with the length of your corset. So it's just easier to pin this down like so. Like this. So now what you want to do now is to go ahead and sew down on this half inch. So I'm just going to go ahead and sew down on the half inch seam allowance I left, or whatever seam allowance. If you left 0.75, just work with your 0.75. So I'm just going to proceed like this, and I'm going to sew like so on my half inch. Now when you are working with two, you don't want to pull too much. If not, your fabric would actually go ahead and expand. So when I get it, I'm just going to back stitch like so. Then I'll cut this out. Now the next thing you want to do now is, I won't take out my pin now. You bring in your Regiline Boning. Remember, we are working with the half inch width, and then I'm going to place it very close. I'm just going to trim off this upper part. I'm going to place it on this half inch seam allowance that I have here, and I'm going to sew it down on the tip like so. So I'm going to sew it like so. You also want to go ahead and place it close to the half inch seam allowance that you have there, and then I'll just sew it down. Just want to take your time to do this, because your thread would cut. When I get to the end, I'm just going to back stitch and then cut out both my thread and my Regiline bone. Now the next thing you want to do now is you want to go ahead and just measure, like depending on the width of the eyelets. Remember, we've been installing our eyelets. Depending on the width of the eyelets you are working with, you just want to go ahead and mark. So now for me now, the distance between this my boning and the next boning is going to be 1 inch, which I'm just going to go ahead and mark it down like so. You can do 0.75 depending on the width of your boning or the wideness of your boning, or sorry, your eyelet that you'll be using. So I'm marking this up now, and then I'll just proceed to sewing my boning. I'm just going to stretch this out a bit. I'm going to proceed to sewing my boning down like so on that 1 inch line like this. So remember to always sew on the tip. So I'm just spreading it out. I'm not pulling, I'm just spreading this out like so. Just spreading it out. When I get to the edge now, I'll just back stitch and then proceed to cutting this out. So once you're done sewing, now the next thing you want to do is you want to flip this part over like so. Can you see that I flipped it over? You can go ahead and press this if you want. You just flip it over and then you bring in the second piece, and then the wrong side, sorry, the right side facing down again like so. Just match them up like this. And see that I'm actually gonna have to match it up. You can proceed to just pinning this down like so, and then you sew down on the half-inch seam allowance. Just align them, ensure they're aligning together like so, and then you proceed to sewing this down. Until you get to the end like so, and then at this point I can just go ahead and cut out my allowance. Then the next thing you want to do is ensure that you actually secure this down part down. Can you see the way it looks like? Then I'll come in and trim off the excess seam allowance I have here. And so, and when you're done, you bring the under part down and then you flip it over like so. Now you're going to fold it over on this second boning and then sew it down. So you can actually go ahead and just iron this to secure it down like so. I'll just go ahead and press this down. Actually gonna add to press this down and it's looking neat. So now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sew on this part down. So I feel like flipping it to the wrong side so I can see the bone I'm supposed to sew on, and then I'll just proceed to sewing it down. Remember to sew on the tip of the bone. So this is what it looks like on the right side. Now I'm just going to follow the outline of the second of the bones and then just sew it down. So like I said, now I'll do it from the wrong side, from the back of the fabric, because I can actually see my bone outlines then better. Remember, we are still going to be inserting the plastic bone into this. It's just like more or less like a channel for it that we are creating. So I have the first bone line. I'm just going to go ahead and sew on the second to create my second bone line. I can do that now on the right side. I'll just proceed to sewing on the bone outline that I have. I'll just go ahead and trim off the excess that I have here. And then I'll trim off the excess I have at the upper part too. And at the end of the day, this is what we have. So all you just have to do is to insert your plastic boning through this channel, and then you have your eyelet at the middle part here. I also hope you learned something new. If you did, kindly give us a thumbs up, and please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.